my name is Nitin Varma, as you just heard, and personally, this is my first participation in ETC, so unfortunately, yeah. But I was waiting for my turn to finish and the earlier speaker to finish his words of wisdom. And I just happened to look around the room, and trust me when I say this, guys, seriously, even though I'm a sales guy, just trust me once. I happened to look around and familiar faces around me, friends, acquaintances, and suddenly realized that the very feeling of being privileged kind of seeped into me. Because I'm sharing this space with the country's most eminent business and security leaders in here. So I'd like to thank ETCSO for bringing all the stars under one roof. And moreover, thanks to all of you for the contribution that you have done to this industry in India. A big round of applause for all of you guys in here. Thank you so much. All right, I was told 20 minutes. It's already showing 15 minutes in here, so, okay. All right, guys, so let's talk about the subject, cybersecurity in here. And I love doing this, okay? What do you think is the state of cybersecurity today? Does somebody want to answer, or we can answer it collectively? What do you think? साथ में करें कि एक बंदा करेगा? साथ में करेंगे. तो why don't you stand up then? साथ में करना है. किसने बोला? Come on, stand up quick. I just have 15 minutes, guys. Quick, 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 quick. इतना टाइम सब ऐसे जोड़ों के दर्द से परेशान. All right. So why don't you just raise your right hand, make a circle twice. Make a circle with your right. ऐसे वाला, right? And put that hand down. Raise your left hand. Make a triangle with this. Left hand say. Make a triangle with this. Triangle, Paji. Triangle ये होता है ना? आप circle बना रहे हो. All right. Now try doing this together. Right and left. Try doing that. Try doing that. Triangle, circle, triangle, circle. Do. Now this is the state of cybersecurity. Okay? Sit. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, like I said, this is the state of cybersecurity today across the globe, not only in India, right? Where something is happening, we don't know what's happening, but something is going on. Yeah? That's what it is. Yeah? And to me, if you ask me, security is not about that big picture, the big jargons that we give. It's about the smaller details, right, which kind of helps us simplify security in our environment. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Do you want complex environment or a simple environment from a security standpoint? Boss, I will keep on pursuing, I'll keep on pushing, make you speak, right? Simple. All right. Perfect. So, I've been in security space for about more than a decade, and before that, I used to work for companies, big giants who was like, by the way, I do security types, right? But today, I can conclude one thing or associate security industry with two things in here, right? One is innovation, where I think the industry has done a decent job, right? Obviously, a lot of scope of improvement that is required, okay, and this thing is working, right? A lot of improvement is required, and that's why I think it's in one of the boardroom agendas on here. The second thing which I can associate security industry is, any guesses on this? Any guesses? Quick one, guys. Is acronyms. This industry has given the world most number of acronyms possible, and have managed to confuse everyone. And I say that because I used to work for a FW. What is FW? Yes, zor se bol raha, please. Firewall, right? Then I joined a company which was selling NGFW, right? Right? And then I joined CrowdStrike, which was NGAV company, right? And then I hear about NGWT, right? Then hear about NGSOC, right? And then the cloud came falling down on us. CWP, CSPM, CNAP, right? And then we were haunted with this word R, EDR, MDR, NDR, and the latest, well, not so latest though, is XDR. Like I said, it's not very latest word, but it's become something which was in a phase of evangelism about 5 years back. Now it's come to execution. Do you guys agree with me on this? Yeah? Zor se bolo. Yes? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So today, I think I'm going to take this opportunity, with your permission, guys, right, that answers 3 questions. Why XDR? What is XDR? And how does CrowdStrike help execute XDR in a customer environment? Fair enough? Yeah? And this term, by the way, guys, like I said, has been used most abusively for the last 4 to 5 years by every OEM in their own perspective, right? I remember having the first call, a sales call, on XDR about 5 years back in my earlier assignment. I got an appointment with a C-level guy, right? 45 minutes. The meeting went amazing, right? Uska ek sawal, mere 5 jawab. I would ask question, he'll give 10 answers. End of 45th minute, I realized, what did I discuss with him? He only wanted a box from me, right? And I was just 45 minutes, kept discussing. And things haven't changed from there on both the sides, guys. So today, my whole thing is about telling you why, what, and how about XDR, right? So let's start. I think we've been jostling with one question for many, many years, right? Whether we go ahead with the best of breed, defense in depth, or we go with a single vendor strategy who tells me that rip and replace everything in the name of consolidation. Clearly, the industry went ahead with the best of breed approach. And what happened with this approach was, on an average, this is as per a study, on an average, in an enterprise, we have about 45 different layers of security working in silos. Let me know if somebody doesn't agree with me on this. Yeah? 45 different layers, right? And this became the very use case, I would say, right? Or the genesis of XDR, what is being executed and what is needed today in the industry, right? There were like many challenges that this kind of approach kind of fed us. And I've only captured 6 guys, which I thought was important. There are many more that you will be facing on a daily basis in your environment, right? The first was 80% of the organization kind of use more than 10 data sources for security operations. Yeah, 59% responded that they experienced or witnessed a sensitive breach once in past 1 year. 52% of the SecOps team said it's become hard, challenging compared to the last 2 years to manage the security operations because of the threat landscape changing, because of the sophisticated attacks that are happening, and so on and so forth in here. 66% of the organization said that this siloed security and data approaches that we have today creates blind spots in my environment. Yeah? I didn't have a percentage for this challenge, but most of the organization, firms said, the SecOps especially, there's a massive pressure on them to have faster detection, investigation, and automated responses. The reason why it is required is, if you know, there was a recent threat intel report that we kind of came out with, which clearly said the breakout time for an adversary today, on an average, is about 84 minutes. Now, the breakout time is a time taken by an adversary when it starts moving laterally in your environment. After that, it becomes very difficult and complex for the good guys to defend their environment in here. Last but not the least, there is a new vulnerability on a weekly basis, which kind of impacts your core technology stacks. Now, these 6 and many more that you could have very specific to your environment poses the greatest hindrance of what is the need of the hour of the security industry, which is to be able to do more with less. So how do we go about solving this problem? Clearly, the answer was XDR, right? Now, before I tell you what XDR means to me, guys, right, and happy to be corrected, happy to be challenged, so on and so forth, we can have an offline discussion because the time is ticking here. I'll start with the very definition of XDR, right? XDR is something that extends visibility, across all the security domains, native or third party, to speed and simplify near real-time detection, investigation, and the word which is not there is automated response for most sophisticated attacks. This is the definition of XDR as per me. And the 3 key things are highlighted in red over here. The first one is visibility. Now, what is visibility? Visibility in security is all about data. Security is all about data. Not everything, not every data. God's sake, we are not a log collector. There's a different solution for it, a different requirement for it. We are talking about the right data which helps us detect, investigate, and respond to attacks. The second thing that you see is native and third party. With the investment that we have already done, we don't want to rip and replace everything in the name of consolidation. The whole idea and the real use case from a business standpoint is how does that native OEM integrate with the third party or my existing investment that I've already gone in here. And the third one, if you see, the near real time, it is so imperative in today's environment because the breakout time today is, I mentioned that 2 minutes back. What is the breakout time? 84 minutes. Everything has to be on a near real-time basis. Not because I work in CrowdStrike, I have to say that, guys. XDR, as per me, is a step up of EDR. I'll let you consume that and not think because I'm from CrowdStrike, I have to say EDR is everything. But I'll tell you why I say it's a step up from an EDR in here, okay? Because when you look at an EDR, it provides continuous and comprehensive visibility of all the endpoints on a near real-time basis or a real-time basis. Endpoint, what we mean by that, the operating system, the application, the threats, the vulnerabilities, which is the challenge which I mentioned in my previous slide in here, the users, the assets, everything. 84% of the security practitioner professional said a successful attack starts from an endpoint. An average cost of a successful endpoint attack is about $8.9 million. Yeah? Now, if I look at a very layman definition of EDR and XDR today, EDR is something which detects threats beyond, at the endpoint, actively responds to prevent breaches, wherein XDR detect threats beyond the endpoint, actively respond and prevent breaches in here. Simple definition. Are you guys with me? Am I making sense, guys? Yeah? Some important emails coming in for everybody? I hope you're here. So let's see how EDR vendors today are evolving to XDR, solving that problem in here. Okay? Simple. I'll keep it at a very macro level, guys. Now, effective, right? First thing. Now, when I say EDR to XDR, how EDR vendors are doing, it is not about any EDR vendor. Because today, if you throw a stone, it lands on an EDR vendor. A vendor who's proven, a vendor who's effective, a vendor who's matured in this market, right? And when I talk about that, I'm talking about the next generation AV or the sensor, which kind of sits on a kernel and able to give you always useful events or signals, right? And sometimes useful signals like registry changes, so on and so forth, which is processed centrally and gives the detection to the SecOps team. As we evolve or go beyond the endpoint to multiple sources of telemetry, we are collecting the third-party data as well with intent. And what do we do with that? We store it centrally, we process the data, give detection, generate detection, and then able to give you the entire attack narrative with context. Most important thing, from a single user console. Yeah? So let's talk about how CrowdStrike is kind of solving this problem around XDR today. But before that, like I mentioned, it has to be a proven, an effective, and a matured vendor. Let's talk about CrowdStrike. I'm not sure how many people know CrowdStrike. I assume, I hope, and I believe you know about CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike EDR platform is an industry hallmark for stopping breaches for last 11 years. 11 years. And I would second my statement here by giving you some testimonials or accolades that we have received, right, in the last 1 year or so, right, just keeping it very recent. 55,000 remediation that we did in 110 and 40. It's a metric that CrowdStrike devised about 5 years back, which was 110 and 60. 1 minute to detect, 10 minutes to investigate, and 60 minutes to remediate. We achieved that at 110 and 40 in there, right? Recently, MITRE, okay. कोई घर पे है? Okay. Recently, MITRE did an ingenuity test. The reports were out in November, right? The highest detection coverage came from CrowdStrike, 99%. The other vendor was at 84% somewhere, right? IDC came out with a report last month about the market share, 17.7% market share, which was the highest in this claustrophobic market of endpoint. We've been rated as the leader by Gartner for continuous 3 years now, as well as in the recent Gartner report. And if that is not enough, from an efficacy standpoint, again a MITRE test, which happened last year in November, the reports were out, the only MDR to attribute adversary in 13 minutes. Time is an essence. That's why this 13 minutes is so important here, guys. Right? Now, this is not something that happened in a day, in a year, right? We've been consistently leading the way of innovation in XDR. Guys, you said 20 minutes, you started 15 minutes. Please, correct it out, right? We've been leading this way of XDR innovation for the last 11 years. Started as a threat intel company way back in 2011. Gave the industry the first EDR in 2012, right? Then NGAV, then vulnerability management, identity protection, data protection, so on and so forth, right? And this is something that our customers today are able to embrace that in a purpose-built platform, right? Which is based on a single, very important, a single lightweight sensor which kind of powers all the products and which became a use case for a good XDR in here. A single sensor, nothing else is required. Now with this innovation that happened, right, with the openness or the API-rich platform that we gave the industry, it was easier for us to pivot to XDR by integrating or collecting the right telemetry across domains in here, starting with CrowdStrike natively. Okay, like I said, XDR is about native and third party. Started with CrowdStrike in here, where we're able to provide you EDR, identity protection, vulnerability management, Falcon for mobile, right, and the data protection as well. Then we went out to the third party domains on the firewall side. How many of you use one of the firewalls in here, or both the firewalls? Raise of hand. 60% of the market kind of uses these three firewalls, right? And then we went on the NDR layer. Right? CoreLight, ExtraHop, Vectra, right? From the SSE layer, right? Web security, Cloudflare, right? Or a Menlo security, Cloud Access CASB side, Netscope, Zscaler. The name that just got added yesterday, which is coming soon is SkyHigh, right? On the email side, whether it's your Proofpoint, Microsoft, Cisco, right? And on the identity side, we are able to cohesively integrate and take the telemetry across the 6 different data domains. Now, because the data is so important and so critical, for all the downstream processes and the events, right, in XDR, let's spend a minute talking about our approach in the way we manage, ingest, and analyze this data. Just the way that we have done for EDR for many, many years, we have doing the same thing for the XDR, which is collecting with intent. In the last 10 years, we have refined our abilities in the way we collect, and we know what matters at the endpoint so as to have detection, investigation, and response for the SecOps guys. If an analyst has to spend and look after everything at the endpoint, what's happening at the endpoint, then it's a waste of time and probably really non-conclusive, right? So what are we doing in here? We are ingesting the right set of data which is required, right, across the cross domains, right, whether it's firewall or a Zscaler or anywhere, which is able to give you the right visibility and detection. Now, after we have done this hard work of collecting data or ingesting data, right, we apply analytics, we parse it out, and then convert into a common schema so that we have a unified understanding which powers the detection, investigation, and response. Common language, when I say common schema, it's a common language across different domains. And then this is something what we do as something which is a USP for CrowdStrike, is all about enriching this data with threat intelligence. We are the biggest threat intel company in this world. We enrich everything that we do with threat intelligence and then correlate that, query that, so on and so forth. The outcome of that, what we get is detection created by CrowdStrike or by your own custom rules. You can do a surgical response not only on CrowdStrike native things, but also the third party from a single console. Last but not the least, we are able to automate that, everything, every response through the native SOAR that we have today with all our EDR customers. So basically, guys, I just ran through it. As per the theme of this ETC SOAR event, we have reimagined the security with CrowdStrike EDR by simplifying, consolidating, integrating, and automating them. I'm a security guy. I will end with an acronym. So let's TBS, guys. Any guesses what TBS is all about? Thank you, guys. You're a lovely audience, and thank you. Thank you all.